I'll go first. I'm Cody Spence. I'm current HOA board president. Been in the community since 2019, and I need to write this down because I keep forgetting it. How long I've been on the board? Um, 2 years, 3 years. Alex, Marcus, help me out here, guys. I cannot remember. It feels like it's been forever, but it's only been a couple years. But welcome, everybody.
Yep, that's right, May 2024.
Oh, no, that's all right. Thank you, sir.
I'm Alex Black. I am currently VP on the board, and I've been in the community since 2017, and been on the board as long as Cody and Marcus have, so for 2 years. You're on mute, Marcus, if you're.
Marcus, Alicia, Kathy, anybody want to?
Oh, I can introduce myself. I'm Kathy Tolman. I think I think we've been there 3 years, been in the community, and I'm just working my way towards completing my first year.
Thanks, Kathy.
My name is Alicia. I've been in the community for about 4 years, on the board for about a year, and I am the secretary. Thank you.
Thanks, Alicia.
Am I the only one left?
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Marcus. Been on the board for 2.5 years now. Community member since 2008.
Very good. Thanks. And my name is Julia. I'm with Desert Vista Community Management, and I manage your community. Jumping right in, we don't have any guests here tonight, so we will go ahead and start with open forum. Homeowners, we do give you 2 to 3 minutes to talk. Please keep yourself muted when you're not talking to avoid feedback. Does anybody want to address the board tonight? And just so everyone knows, we are going to keep the chat limited tonight just because it's really difficult just to run two different kind of communications at the same time. So if you could keep that limited and just raise your hand if you want to speak, and we'll be happy to listen to everybody as we progress through the meeting. Did anyone want to address the board directly tonight? Nobody? All right, we'll go ahead and move on. Board, we have the minutes on page 3 from March 26th. This one might also... Yep, this one says February. This, I will make the change. But the rest of the minutes are correct from the last meeting.
Motion.
Thank you, Alex. Does anyone second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Alicia. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. We've got some latecomers. I'm just gonna let in really quick. Okay. Next up, we have the management report. Management report begins on page 24. Okay, town hall meeting, we are in the progress of scheduling. A Quinn property line curbing has been tabled until after we meet with the golf course to figure out what the plan is for the area. As far as the basketball hoop key to adjust the basketball hoops goes, I have called and spoken to everybody I can think of to try to get this key, including contacting the manufacturer with no luck. They basically told me they couldn't help me and close my ticket. So I'm just wondering from the board if it's okay for me to go ahead and close this action item, or does anyone have any further ideas of how to? I don't know anything about basketball hoops either, but I've asked
We
everyone
call
that
a
I know that
locksmith.
a locksmith.
Yeah, get the key out the lock. I don't know. Probably won't, but
I have not called a locksmith. I
no.
will
But
try
with
that.
that too, I would say just to see if they could do it. My guess is that's not a cheap fix, and I don't know that we need to spend money to unlock and adjust a basketball court, depending on what it costs. But it's worth finding out, I guess.
Okay, for sure.
What is the height of the basketball hoop right now? Is it normal 10 foot or is it like 7 where everybody can hang on?
I don't know. I have pictures. It's Penrose Park, right? Yeah. This is the picture I have. I don't know if you can tell. I can't tell.
I mean, it looks 10 foot. I don't know. I mean, maybe not, but
It's worth at least soliciting from a
yeah.
locksmith, see what they have to say.
Okay. All right. Then I have plant installation enhancements are on hold. Granite replenishment is on hold. North and west irrigation shutoff is on the agenda tonight. Signs in the sand are on the agenda. 2026 tree care. Brian is working on the schedule. I actually think he's gotten back to us between now and then. Marcus, do you know that date off the top of your head? Because I can look it up right now.
It was in early May. I think it was May 11th when he said he was going to be on the site.
Yep, May
And
11th.
May 11th, he said it's going to take what, 9 or 10 days. So we should see by middle of May a pretty decent, significant, spruce up of the trees.
Yes. The Roanoke cul-de-sac enhancement was just completed on the 21st. The Stotler
Julia,
Park,
I'm sorry. Would you mind switching over to the agenda on the screen share so we could see
of
that?
course. Apologies.
Thank you.
Where are we? All right, the Roanoke cul-de-sac enhancement was completed on April 21st. The Stotler Park sprinkler overspray solution. We are still waiting on Gary to send proposals. He was meeting with his concrete guy. The homeowner survey questions is on the agenda for tonight. The Park Crest Triangle is on hold right now. We're waiting for to find out the plan for the area from the golf course. Park lights are now in progress. They were on hold, but with the recent graffiti we've had at Pinto Park, we are going to go ahead and move forward with getting proposals for park lights. Penrose Park erosion repairs on the agenda tonight. Penrose Park sprinkler overspray solution. Again, Gary's meeting with his concrete guy. We're waiting for proposals for Penrose Park and Pinto as well. Ramada posts are on hold until the sprinkler overspray issue has been addressed. The shade sail support concrete columns are in progress. I did see them while I was on site on the 21st, I believe. Painting metal components is on hold. Shade sail repairs is on hold until the concrete columns are complete. The reserve studies on the agenda tonight and the boundary wall repairs evaluation bidding are in progress. Does anybody have any questions on the action items for the community?
Uh, I know that it gets brought up a lot. The American flags. We're still pending some sort of um, proposal at this point, or we have all of our proposals.
We are waiting for one proposal. For some reason, I don't see it on. Oh, American Flags waiting for one more proposal. I think I skipped that one. But yes, we're waiting for Shamrock Flags to get back to us. They are likely going to have the best price. So I think that they do tend to take a long time to respond. But I will keep nagging him, and once we have them set up in the community and approved to do work, usually we don't ever have to talk to him again. So the late response isn't really a concern. It's just kind of how he is, and um, unfortunately, it's a matter of getting the proposal. So I think it'll be worth the wait for you guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Let's see what do we have next. Jumping into unfinished business, we have the reserve study final draft. Did you guys have a chance to look through that? Did anybody have any revisions they'd like to see?
Nope.
I would love to have something that shows it, if I read it correctly. I'm not a numbers guy, but it doesn't seem like it shows any projection for the increase in, like, it assumes that assessments stay flat and that nothing changes, that everything is just constant. Um, shouldn't there be some kind of variance over time, like a adjustment that happens over time percentage wise with everything that we account for financially?
For assessments, we don't. So usually you'd get a reserve study update every 3 years, essentially. I mean, that's best practice in the industry, but they don't usually update the assessments or show an increase in assessments because they're going to assume the worst, and just assume that you keep it as
Yeah.
is, even though there is inflation.
The reason that
Well,
I asked
I'll go
primarily,
ahead.
I'm sorry, Marcus, just let me finish my statement here. That my concern is that based off of what I understand on this, we go insolvent in before 2030 with our current rate. And this isn't even accounting for any of the wall work that we have to do. So is it worth having something that shows something like that, like increase in assessments in order to keep ourselves from going bankrupt in a few years?
I can certainly request it.
I'm just curious if that's something that is normally asked under, I don't know if this is a normal circumstance what we're in, but um,
So they should have a recommendation for you of what the assessments should look like. Um, Let me just pull it up.
That's what
Michael,
confuses me on the current model. It shows us going backwards, and on the alternative model, it shows us staying green and going positive, but yet the monthly contribution per home stays exactly the same as the current model. So that the math doesn't math to me.
Well, but Julie hit it on the head. She said it's a worst case model, right? And that's the problem I had with the report, is that it doesn't take into account what Alex is asking. It doesn't take into account that we don't have to do all these things in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. We can maintain certain things. They're looking at a massive cost for all these repairs that probably aren't necessary on their timeline, right? Case in point, the Park Crest Street, the gated subdivision. It's got a $90,000 bill to redo the entire street, and that makes us insolvent by 2030, right? But if we got somebody to come look at the road and say, hey, you don't need to do it in 3 years, you might be able to do it in 5 or 6 years. So we find a way to kind of maintain and kind of band-aid it for a little while longer. We can build up those reserves so that the sky isn't necessarily falling from what these reports are saying, right? We just take it as kind of a guide, but it is worst case scenario. That's where I would.
yeah. And also keep in mind, this is your reserves, right? This isn't your operating, so it's not the assessments that are going in here. It's reserve contributions that are going in.
Right. So it was kind of threading the needle to find out we don't want to increase our HOA too much, but if we don't stay in front of inflation and we don't, kind of band-aid some of these things, that if we're not putting enough into our reserve account, there will come a time where we have issues. But I think as long as, of course, having these reports, being aware of these costs that are in the future, it'll at least give us some guide to not just throw it against the wall and say, well, let's increase HOA dues by, $20. We can actually kind of thread that needle, and maybe it's like 12 and 8 goes into reserves or something like that.
And that's exactly right. It is just a guide for the community. I mean, just in managing communities, every year looking at the projects for the next year, we look at the reserve study and look at what's expected and what's planned for. And a lot of times we push things off because it's completely unnecessary. Now, when you do push it off, you need to be careful because the reserve study is budgeting for different things maybe the next year, so you wouldn't necessarily be planning for funding for that thing in the next year. But assuming that you're using your reserve funds correctly, those funds are adding up and being saved and not just being blown on random enhancement projects that maybe are not necessary when you have structural issues and that kind of thing. So it really is just a guide as to what they see in the community, when they think it's going to need replacement, how much it's going to cost, and looking at your reserve contributions currently, when you'll be able to afford those things and what percentage your reserve is going to be funded each year. So, I mean, it really is just giving you like the initial one, this is where you're headed now. This is the plan for how we should be moving forward.
Yeah, so I guess then the question is, what is it that we are approving tonight exactly? Because it doesn't seem like there's anything other than, one option versus the other as far as like which path we take, generally speaking. So
No,
what are we
you're
approving?
you're not approving the path. You're approving this document. It's just
As like
somebody's
the
handing you a spiral notebook. Here's a guide to how to maintain your house, and you say, okay, I'll take the guide. You're just basically approving this document.
and
Um,
this document is like the frame of reference, what we use as the compass for how we plan and budget for the upcoming year, right?
exactly.
Or few
Yes.
years, right?
Yes. This is really useful for a lot of communities, I mean, really for all communities for a lot of different reasons, but they see things that normal people don't see or wouldn't know about just living in your house in the community or driving through your community to get home every night. They're looking at storm drain maintenance, they're looking at backflow repairs, they're looking at your irrigation, they're looking at all the things that go on that are structure, like infrastructure type things that a lot of homeowners don't even know exist. So that's why reserve studies are really important.
So to that note, then kind of what it's for. I was looking at what they put on there for wall replacement, and while I am not a wall expert at all, I think it's miles off from what the reality of the next couple of years looks like for us. No matter how the lawsuit ends up, half or whole, can we go back to them and say, hey, we know there's going to be substantial repairs coming up in the very near future on walls, and model that in here so we get a more accurate plan of what we're looking at?
You can, yes. Have you guys, well, actually, that'd be a question for Michael, if you've gotten any revisions done yet. Do you know if, have you guys requested any revisions yet? So Michael has looked at this top to bottom. I mean, Michael goes back and forth with these guys. He 1,000% makes sure that everything looks 100% before he even puts the draft in front of you. So everything has been approved by Michael. Um, but if you would like to see a higher number in the walls, we can certainly request a revision and have them increase that. Is it going to make a huge difference right now? I don't know, but it's definitely going to affect everything else and how everything else kind of lines up and where you're going to be at as far as percentage funded. So I would just need to know what number you would want me to ask them to plug in there.
Well, I mean,
You know, if this is like a baseline or like a guide, I can see because the numbers generally they match up, all things staying equal. I was just under the assumption that this is like going to be giving us the guidance in order to get ourselves into a position where we are okay. But it doesn't sound like that's what this is for. It's more like a springboard to plan for the future in order to keep ourselves from falling off a cliff, right?
Well, both. Yeah, it gives you an idea of what is coming up, what to
Mhm.
expect as far as expenses,
Yep.
Um, a lot of people don't realize how substantial these expenses can be and so don't plan for them. So, yeah,
Hey,
I mean,
Julia, how much did this cost the association for this study?
um,
Because if it's a significant expense, then I want it, to Cody's point, I want it a little bit more accurate. I want it to be dialed in as much as it can be. If it's just kind of a guide, I'm not overly concerned if the walls are in there or not. But again, then to Cody's point, it's a real expense that's coming down the pipe. So and we want our neighbors to see that. We don't want them to be caught off guard. So maybe either way, regardless if it's cost or not, it should probably be dialed in with that cost.
yeah,
and
I think so too. If you guys want it in there, I think
I
absolutely we
think I
have.
started off, and then to your question, Julie, about how much should we put in there, my response is that should be on them. That they walk the property, they should see the walls and know, hey, this wall is leaning over, it's cracked. Okay, that's not paint. At least a ballpark, right? I mean, we don't have bids on the whole property yet, but they put what a 90,000 and 180,000 in paint in here, so they obviously did an assessment of walls looking at paint, but they only put 20. What is it? Let's see, 24,000 in block wall repairs and 17,000 in metal fence.
I mean, that
It
is
just,
their recommendation after inspecting the walls. So,
then they didn't inspect all the walls. Um, I mean, you got the canal wall, you've got the wall off of the what's the other wall? I mean, there's a lot of walls that are leaning or cracked and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Can we plug in for like an approximate cost based off of what we know about wall repairs costing over the next? I mean, how many years do we need to? What numbers do you need us to give you right now? Is it like an interest percentage, or I'm sorry, like inflation percentage, or is it a dollar amount?
just a dollar amount. I mean, literally, you can just tell them how much you want. If you don't agree with their recommendation, you can just tell them how much you want to plug in that area.
Okay.
I can go back to Michael and see what his recommendation is. Honestly, if you're asking me, I don't know enough to put a number in that spot.
Okay.
So I can go back to Michael and just let him know that you think it needs to be higher and see what his recommendation is. And maybe include one of you on the email to FD Reserves to get this updated.
Okay. So in
Is there kind of a ballpark number you want to throw out?
I can throw out numbers that I've heard before. The absolute lowest number that I've heard for any estimation was 4 or 5 years ago. So adjust for time and inflation, but that was 2.5 million under the assumption that it's a 50-50 split.
Just on repairs alone.
Correct.
Yeah, reconstruction repairs. You know what that's going to do to these numbers? It's going to be funky.
Right this year. Yeah, that's the thing. So obviously that we're gonna have to do. It's a phased approach, obviously, but are aren't we? We're in the middle of, and I wasn't on last month's meeting, so I apologize. we're getting a full blown survey done right now of all the walls, right? I thought we were. We hired someone.
Yes.
So maybe we just postpone this, wait till we get that back, then we'll know exactly what walls need replaced and don't, so we can get more accurate numbers. And maybe that's not the right move. I don't know.
Yeah, Julie, when is that report expected back? Do we know?
He said a couple of months. Let me look. Actually, I might have it right here. The project will likely take the better part of April and May to complete, may leak into June. Yeah, I don't see any reason why we couldn't postpone voting on the draft, on the reserve study.
I'm okay with postponing it too. I mean, if we want to have the updated numbers and we want it to be fairly accurate, we should probably wait for accurate numbers to come in.
Wait,
Do you
Julia.
guys want me to see if Michael can jump on, or do you just want to postpone it?
I say we postpone.
I like the idea of getting accurate numbers if we're that close to having it. Might as well do it right.
Hey, Julia, quick question as far as like all the walls and stuff. There's a question about whether or not the wall evaluation that was done is available to the association. Is that private or can it be made available to the association for reviewing?
We haven't received it yet. That's what Higher Ground is working on.
I'm sorry, the last wall study evaluation that we had done, that was the one by ESS. I see it on the portal. It's a board only viewable document.
Understood. I'd have to look at it and make sure that there's not private information for any reason. 2025 boundary wall evaluation, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, let me look into it and I will get back to you. And
Thank you.
if it's available, I mean, if it can be made available to everyone, then, well, that folder is board only, so I'll have to figure out how to. Maybe we can, I don't know. Well, I'll let you know.
Just curious. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. We'll table that for now. North and west perimeter shut off. Let me look into. So Gary got back to us on this. Okay, so he said for the west wall, the two valves that ran the perimeter also run the common areas inside the wall at the end of Saratoga, Sagebrush, and Rawhide. If we cap off the lateral lines, we will not have water to those areas. I recommend we try to locate where those lines split and cap off the lines outside the perimeter wall, but leave valves running the water inside the walls. And I think Marcus wanted to hold it for discussion at the meeting.
I didn't necessarily need to hold it. We turned those valves back on because those common areas, we didn't want them to be affected until this meeting, right? So as of right now, those valves are back on, which I think is a no-brainer because we didn't want to, stress any bushes or whatever and have a couple $1,000 cost replacing them. So we just need to find out, like you said, Julia, find out the source where we can cap and still keep water going to those areas.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead with board approval. I'm just gonna let Gary know that we want him to move forward with trying to locate where the lines split and cap off the lines outside the perimeter. Perfect, easy peasy. All right, for Penrose Park erosion repair, we're going to page 30 if you're following along. So I think the erosion repair that Gary had first given us was in the, I don't know, I want to say it was like $17,000. He got it down to $450 just filling in the erosion fissures with quarter minus. So I would recommend approval. It's easy. Takes care of the problem.
Agree.
Does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll just motion that.
Thanks, Cody.
I'll second.
Thank you, Marcus. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can you tell Gary thank you for finding us a significantly cheaper option as well? I mean, that's huge.
Yeah. Any opposed? All right. Good. I'm glad we can move forward with that. So for the, I'm just going to jump back to the agenda while we talk about the homeowner survey. It was emailed between meetings. Let me pull it up. All right. Michael put this together, so I'm kind of just going to read through it here. So we have over 3/4 of the community opened the survey. 220 homes completed the survey, more than 25% of the community, and an additional 22 homes partially completed the survey. The survey fee was $50, did not include replying to open-ended questions. I believe there were 2 open-ended questions. If you guys would like us to reply after reviewing those questions, then Michael will do that for an additional $50. You'll just need to let me know, but let's look at the questions before you make a decision on that, just so that you can be fully informed. So just going through the results, question number 1, 1/3 of the respondents would not be likely to participate in a garage sale. Nearly 30% of the respondents were neutral, and 1/3 of the community would be likely or extremely likely to participate in a community garage sale. Management recommendation, and these are all Michael's recommendations. I'll let you guys know how I feel about them as we go. Michael and I discussed beforehand, so we're on the same page as far as what we'd be presenting to you tonight. But management recommendation based on these results, there's enough interest to hold an annual community garage sale. We'd recommend purchasing banners and posting them prior to the garage sales.
Basically, scroll down to that section so people can see it.
I'm so sorry. I'm reading from mine. So basically, we'd hold it on a Saturday from about 7 to 1. and the board would need to determine how many banners, where they would be located, and we'll have to check with Gary to make sure he's okay with putting these up, taking them down, and storing them. Landscapers usually are. We just obviously need to be sure. So did you guys want to talk about these as we go through? Do you want me to just run through the entire thing? You want to respond to them between meetings? How do you want to handle going through these?
I would say it would probably be based off of the results of how many people want to volunteer to help do stuff for the community. So I think that might
So
be a.
okay, for the garage sale, there's nothing to do. We would just basically send out email notification to the community beforehand, probably twice beforehand, letting them know the date and time, and have Gary put out the banners. So nothing to do for this. The only cost is ordering the banners. It can be a kind of pricey thing to do, but it's a one-time, unless, of course, there's vandalism, or wind takes them down, something like that, which would tear them. But um, I think probably the best idea would be just to not take a ton of time today to reply to these via email. So we'll send this out as well. But if anybody has any thoughts, questions, comments as we go, please share. Homeowners, you are also welcome to take part in the conversation. Anissa, I don't know if you were on, but if everyone can speak up, raise your hand if you have something to say, because I'm not able to watch the chat, but you're welcome to speak on anything as we go.
Why don't we, as we go through each section of this, Julie, just if a homeowner wants to comment on that section real quick, they can raise their hand real quick, and then we'll go to the next one.
Yep. Anissa just asked who would pick the date. Would it be a vote to make sure when most are available? No, Anissa, we wouldn't put it out to the homeowners every single time. It would just be the board choosing. Usually it aligns with bulk trash. And then the community did vote for a spring garage sale. Majority was for the spring garage sale. So we would just pick a date in the spring that aligns with bulk trash. So almost 60% of the community would prefer a spring garage sale. Under 42% would prefer a fall garage sale. It's an expensive community engagement opportunity that seems to have significant interest. We'd recommend holding an annual spring garage sale. That is not possible this year, so maybe worthwhile starting with the fall garage sale this year, beginning the spring garage sales next year. Almost 2/3 of the respondents are opposed to the association spending funds on community engagement activities. So let's see. Management recommendation, understanding the overwhelming opinion of the community to not hold engagement activities, we would recommend only holding one community event and working to get as much of the event expenses covered by vendors as possible, despite the current budget including funds for community events. A second smaller event such as a movie night might be possible through sponsorship as well. Michael and I differ on this one. It is not my recommendation to hold events, considering the association's financial stance and obviously lack of interest. So it is completely up to you guys what you prefer. But Michael loves to see community events, and honestly, it is really good to bring people together. I just don't know if it's really the right time for that for this
I
community.
mean, it's kind of crazy that you're holding events, but at this point, I'm not sure it makes sense to have a vote and then do the exact opposite of what the majority voted for. So, I'm a big fan of the majority said not to do one, so then we don't do one, but I'm just one person.
Do any homeowners have anything to say on this?
Sorry, do we raise our hand? I don't know how this goes.
You can
Do we just say
raise
it?
your
Okay.
hand. Yeah, you can just talk.
When you guys say sponsorships, you mean like a potluck? Like kind of like everybody brings their own treat?
That's not what it was referring to. That is an option for the community to have something like that. I do have another community that they completely handle their events on their own. They have a social committee and they don't even like they'll run it by the board just to make sure that the data's okay and a general idea of what's going on. But really, it's just a gathering of homeowners. So they'll send us a flyer and ask us to email it out, but it doesn't cost the community any money because they'll do something like a potluck where, they just kind of put together their own get-togethers. Um, but what Michael is referring to as far as sponsorships is trying to find somebody who will pay for the event, and we would advertise that they helped put it on, maybe have them there to engage with homeowners and that kind of thing. I don't know what sponsor would be willing to spend a couple $1,000. So that one again is hard for me to endorse, but all right. The next question was, what type of community events would you attend if they were offered in your community? 70% of respondents would prefer an annual community picnic if one were to happen. Management recommendation, as mentioned after question 3, we'd recommend trying to hold one event at a minimal cost to the association if possible. A fall annual community picnic sounds like the way to go. Okay, so question number 5, Michael didn't put in here, but I believe it was if you were to pick an event, what would it be? These are the responses that we received. Feral cat removal is not an event. Is it big enough for everyone to see? So we'll just go through a couple of these. A 5K might be a good idea. I'm in favor of a low-cost community picnic where members can contribute food, drinks, games, etc. We do not need to spend funds for that kind of thing. So, I mean, yeah, any kind of gathering that you guys have that you want us to advertise, if you wanted to hold a potluck, we don't usually, for anything potluck related or alcohol related, we wouldn't want to advertise as an HOA event for liability reasons. But of course, we would, send out a flyer if you wanted to hold it as homeowners in the community. You're absolutely able to go that route. It just couldn't be an HOA event.
Can I just say something? I was at the restaurant there, that the Zona, which is in our neighborhood, for lunch, and there was this big group of women, and they were all from Vista Lakes HOA, and they just formed their own. And they once a month they go out to a restaurant and they just announce where it's going to be and who wants to go. And they've been doing that for quite a few years. And I thought, people that might want, there was one about maybe a cocktail hour and someplace like either maybe even the golf course might have facility to be able to host that so that people could meet there or at that zona or someplace else that's nearby where we just announce that this is people are going to go and this is where it is. They pay for their drinks, they pay for their food, whatever, but that there will be other people from our association there, our neighborhood there. I don't know. They seemed to really enjoy their monthly meetings out with there was probably 20 ladies there at lunch. And so it's a small event, but then you can get to know, and if it's a regular date and time, then I don't know. That's just an idea that I'd seen, and I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, I love that. It's not another cost to the community, but it definitely gets community engagement. I really like that. So going through a few more of these, this is a waste of money. Please spend the money on planting trees instead for shade. Halloween event, neighborhood vendor day. Invite our neighbors to set up vendor booths to share. with our community what we do. That's kind of cool if there's enough people to do that. I don't know. I don't have small children, but an annual picnic would be great. Block watch event, coordination with Town of Gilbert PD. Clean up, maintain common areas like retaining walls. Perhaps people can offer to volunteer for keeping the community up. Taco truck. Please, the cost of living is already too much. We do not need to spend money on frivolous things like community yard sales and social functions. This is a time for fiscal awareness, not for spending. No community events until American flags are displayed on holidays such as 4th of July, President's Day, and the like. We should honor our military and every community, like every community does. We are the only community without flags on these days. I would say probably, I would think 30% of communities have flags. Not every community, not even half of the communities that we manage. So.
We know that, Julia, but we also see the neighboring communities do. And so when you drive down the street, Finley Farms does, even the Rancho Colleen does, or whatever's right there. So we're the one in between that doesn't. So it's more visible. Of course, not all of them do, but it's visible to us.
Yeah, got it. This would be a complete waste of money. I would like to see entryways decorated for different holidays. Honestly, we're so busy, it's unlikely we can attend. Need beer. Save our money. Maybe stop extorting money from owners and just do your job. How many times have you sent me a notice for something that wasn't even my home? Don't do your best, do my best. Meet and greet in the park, spend that money on fixing our walls, giving more of an entrance to our neighborhoods instead of a dinky picket sign. Other events are great ideas for families with children. Our street neighbors get together every Halloween and set a single table with candy for the kids. Everyone brings a dish to share. That's kind of a potluck. Money could be spent elsewhere. Save our money in reserves, not park parties. Nothing if it will cost us. I don't want association fees to go up due to this. This would, I mean, if we added an event and had to pay for any of it, it would have to obviously be added to the budget. So it potentially could make assessments go up. We just need to be really careful with that. Especially, I mean, if we're looking at sponsorship for events. Moving past events.
Hang on one second, really. Just so everyone's clear here. If we're doing events this year, it is not going to impact assessments for the homeowners this year. That is not something we're discussing or that's going to happen. I just want to make sure that doesn't get misconstrued. Assessments are not changing right now. That was voted on last year. So, okay. Sorry.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you.
Sorry. Okay.
Despite the overwhelming sentiment not to spend money on community events and engagement, a decent number of residents, 34, said that they would be willing to participate in basically a social committee to help plan, coordinate, and run events. Let's see. I mean, if we're not going to have events, there's really no point in putting this together. But we can reach out to the 34 people and see if they'd be interested in putting something together individually and not at a cost to the association, maybe just linking these people together to, you know, be able to plan things and that kind of thing.
I like that.
I'm going to add that as an action item for myself because I like that too. And I think that's going to be really good for you guys. Not an additional expense to the community.
Hey, where's the little magnet? Magnet like tile.
I will say, from experience, that there's only going to be a couple that actually follow through, but 34 is a really good number to start with, so I'm really happy about that. Okay. Let's see. Are you in favor of allowing homes south of Warner to keep and store recreational vehicles on their lots? Trailers, RVs, and boats, that kind of thing, as granted to the homes on the north side of Warner. 75% said yes, they are in favor. Management recommendation, this is an overwhelming opinion. We think the board should consider granting the authority when revising the rules and regulations this year. Would you be in favor of allowing 1 or 2 covered vehicles on driveways as long as the vehicles are operable, driven regularly, and covered by a proper car cover, and maintained in good condition? Almost 42% said yes, they are in favor of 1 covered vehicle. 22% said they're in favor of 2 covered vehicles. 37% are in favor of maintaining the current rule, which prohibits covered vehicles entirely. Management recommendation, almost 2/3 of the respondents support allowing at least 1 covered vehicle. We'd recommend making this change when revising the rules and regulations. Did anyone have any comments on covered vehicles? Would you be in favor of allowing string lights to be wrapped around palm trunks or I think tree trunks is the next one, actually. Sorry, just palm trunks this year round. It would be 3 trees per lot. They'd have to be warm white, cannot exceed 20 lumens. Light wires must be green or black, so there are stipulations. 75% said that they would be in favor of allowing up to 3 palm tree trunks to be wrapped in string lights. Would you be in favor of allowing string lights to be wrapped around any trunks of the trees? 2/3 said that they would be in favor of 3 tree trunks per lot to be wrapped in string lights with the same stipulations. Management recommendation, this is a strong argument to be made that the board should consider allowing string lights on the tree trunks limited to 3 trees per lot. This would need to be carefully worded to ensure that it is not visually intrusive and possibly include images. We recommend that the board at least allow on palm tree trunks per question 9, but any tree trunk could be argued based on the results of this question. Any questions on string lights on trees?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead, Bill.
Not tree trunks, but I did submit in a front yard complete re-landscaping. This is, I believe, back in 2020, if not, yeah, I think 2021. It was approved. One of the stipulations that I have is that it's not a palm tree, it's a fake tree, and it's an LED tree. So if you've been to Vegas and been in the casinos, it's that type of tree with multiple LED lights being like flowers on the tree. So they twinkle, they can be steady, and there's 6 different colors. I light it up based on the season. So for instance, in Christmas, it's multiple lights. During February, it's red for Valentine's Day. Springtime, it's green. In the fall, my neighbor has a purple bloom tree, so it goes to purple. So I know it's on. I've already dressed with the homeowners around me. They love it. I've had neighbors come up. They're just ecstatic about it. I do monitor it. It's been up for 5 years. It's LED, so there's no problem with bulbs burning out. I do have the manufacturer on call, so if one of the branches does go out, I just order that branch and they'll ship it out and I just replace it. In the backyard where my house butts up against to the Primrose Park, I do have a giant tree where I do wrap it in white Christmas lights on the trunk and the branches so that it only goes up as high as the canopy, not into the tree leaves itself. So that was my question, was that I already have that LED established in the front yard, and I just want to make sure that I'm not going to have a problem with it. So I know you've come around and inspected my house during the day, but have you driven around at night to see it and the lights around being on it?
No. Did you get a violation for it?
No,
Okay.
no. Yeah, so I'm saying I already talked to the neighbors and they all love it and they love to see it type of thing.
Yeah,
Bill, you
no,
said
I don't
violation,
drive around at
right?
night, so I wouldn't see it at nighttime. We don't do monthly night inspections. We don't do any nightly inspections.
It sounds like,
So
Bill,
when
when you did your front yard, you did a whole ARC request when you redid your front yard, and that was part of it, right?
everything, it was, I had a design artist. I went up to one of those home landscaping shows, hired a designer to come on out. I submitted it in to the HOA architectural request form. I submit them in the blueprints, the diagrams, everything. And he couldn't design a picture of a tree. He just put it it was a palm tree sticking in the middle of our courtyard. And
No.
I'm going, okay. But if you've
Well,
been to the
if that was already
superstition,
approved, yeah, if that request was approved at that time, he should be fine, right, Julia? He's got the approval from when it was put in.
Bill, can you private message me your address? I'm just really curious what this tree looks like. I can't
okay.
imagine. I
Well,
just want to
I
see it
don't
out of
want to
curiosity.
I don't want to stand on my picket fence, but you already sent me out 2 award letters with the appreciation of how my house looks in the front. But I never kept on replying back. You got to come at night to see it. And I would say during Halloween, I had the kids and their families come up and take photos of being seated around the tree, looking up at the tree as it's lit. Plus, the
Oh,
Mormon people who come around, Latter-day Saints come around, they all take pictures of it. So I appreciate you giving the award of our house. My wife is going, oh, gee, here we go. But no, but I just want to make sure that I'm not ruffling any feathers. As far as the backlights, yes, they are regular Christmas tree lights. They do burn out. So I did sympathize with those who have burned out things. I am always watching out to make sure if there are any burned out strands, I quickly as I can try and get them replaced. So
okay.
hopefully, yeah, I just wanted to make sure there'd be no issue. So if 3 is the limit on tree trunks, I'm fine, but I got up in the canopy. That's where the lights are at.
Okay.
I'll see if I can send a photo of it to you, type of thing as well.
Yeah, please. I'm so curious. I want to check it out.
Hey,
All right.
Julia. Um,
Yes.
the one that said allows a car ride covered up to a 1 car question, is that a car like on the sidewalk or on your lot? I can't remember that part.
It would be on the driveway.
On the driveway. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Moving on to question 11. This was asking the homeowners if they could create a rule, what would it be? I think it was something like that. Asking the board to stand by their decision to require our neighbor who did not receive architectural approval for a hideous structure erected without the town of Gilbert permits. This is obviously a personal issue, so it doesn't apply. How about some rules for cars parked on the street that have not moved in months? We can't really enforce street parking. The streets are public. Backyard parking of any type of vehicle, trailer, etc. should not be allowed anywhere in Greenfield Lakes. The owner purchased them. It is their responsibility to store them. We're looking at possibly allowing RVs and boats in the south side. They're already allowed in the north side, so not really something that is enforceable at this time. House paint, colors, party wall maintenance, vegetation requirements. We're already doing those as action items. Those aren't rules either. People pick up after their dogs and leave their droppings on lawns and sidewalks. Can't really make a rule about behavioral issues. Thank you for asking. Get rid of the HOA. Gates for access for individuals use to gain access to non-party walls, appearance so as to blend in with current wall fence line. That's not a rule, but I'm not sure what they mean by that either. Maybe putting a gate in the wall somewhere? I'm not sure. Get rid of the bike lane on Quinn. That's not an association matter. Why after nearly 30 years do these bylaws need to change? We're not changing the bylaws. They would be the rules and regulations. They have kept the community from being trashy like many other developments. How are these changes to be enforced? They would be enforced just like the current rules and regulations are enforced now. Would like to install a streetlight at the park at Pinto and Rosetta. Have observed some suspicious activity. We are in the progress of that. That's an action item. I would like to say thank you to the board for allowing members of the community to give their voice on these matters. I understand that you can make these changes without doing this survey, so it means a lot that you have taken the time to hear us and listen to us. Adjusting all entryways into community to be managed by the HOA. We can't take over the golf course property, so not something that we would likely be able to do. Be allowed to cover garage windows with tint to help the heat in the garage. As far as this goes, it may be, could possibly be put into architectural guidelines if those were to be revised. But homeowners can put tint on the garage windows just as long as it's not reflective material and it's kept in good condition. So, for the tree lights, I believe in your backyard is your business if it doesn't disturb neighbors being too bright. My answer to that last question is assuming you are talking about front yard lighting and trees. Yes. Lights on homeowners' property should not shine into adjacent properties. There are nuisance provisions about that already. I would like there to be lighting at the park north of Warner for safety. We are working on that. Please do something about the weeds that share property with the golf course on the south side of Warner. It is actually out of control. Can't you call the golf course? It would make sense for both of you to work together. We are trying to work together. But if you guys, homeowners, see something that is of concern, we do our best to, I mean, especially like with graffiti and that kind of thing, we've been reporting to the golf course and we are going to begin to really start to work together now. But if you guys see anything that's of concern, if you can email it to us, we would be able to put eyes on it and take more quick action. So we're always welcoming any kind of feedback. If there's anything specific that you'd like to see done, just let us know and we can either do it or let you know if for whatever reason we can't, why we can't. When we walk around the neighborhood, we see a lot of poop, and that did not get picked up. It would be nice to go for a walk and not have poop along the sidewalk in neighbors' yards. Also, there are neighbors' yards that their rock is down to dirt. I would like to see those yards get those rocks filled in. Again, behavioral issues we can't really do much about, but bare dirt is not allowed in the community. There's already a rule for that.
Hey, Julia, going back to this parking, guys, didn't we do the street vote last year and the community voted to have the HOA maintain the authority to enforce street parking?
Yes.
I think that passed.
So that, yeah, that passed for most of our communities. Did you guys do it with us?
Yes.
Actually, I think it passed for all of our communities. But what it means is basically like if there's a trash can out on the street, then we can still enforce. Whereas if it hadn't passed, then people could leave their trash cans out on the street and we wouldn't have been able to send them a trash can violation. Construction debris, RVs, trailers, oversized trucks, anything like that, we wouldn't have been able to enforce. Now we are able to enforce, but just regular street parking, your documents are kind of open-ended, where it says, I believe that it says if your garage is full and your driveway is full, then you can park on the street. If you're a homeowner, guests can park anywhere. So we don't know who's a guest and who's not. We don't know if there's cars parked in the garage or not. So in that sense, it's really hard to enforce street parking.
Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying people should be able to park their cars in the street. So
Yeah. I mean, there's things like parking the wrong direction, but that's more of a town thing where you can call, or go to Gilbert 311 and report it. But okay. Do you guys want me to read through all of these? There's 2 more full pages. You can just kind of scan through.
maybe just skip it. Yeah, we don't need to go through all of them.
Okay. Boats aren't allowed on driveways anyways. Let's see. Don't place trees right next to walls. We try not to. Y'all are doing pretty good. You communicate and respond quickly and respectfully. Let's see. We should not allow political signs. State law says that we have to. Items and structures being allowed in the backyard that are taller than the fence line. We try to enforce when we can, when we see it. No parking on streets for residents. Again, we can't monitor garages, so that makes that pretty difficult, but there's already a rule in place. No commercial vehicles in driveways overnight. That isn't already in the governing documents. Community walls should be mostly paid by the HOA since the entire community benefits, not just two neighbors. Stronger enforcement on poorly maintained yards and front of homes. It's funny, you get these homeowners that say they don't want enforcement, and then you get other homeowners that say we're not enforcing enough. So it's all about trying to find a balance, I think. Christmas lights should be allowed on homes year round. That's it. That's all for your homeowner survey. I think there was probably 2 in there about actually revising the rules and regs. Board, did you want to move forward with that? What did you think about so I think it's string lights and what was the other one?
3 string lights, RV parking, and the car cover.
Yes, thank you. Are you interested in revising the rules and regs? I don't know what your previous communication with Michael had been.
Yes.
Yes, we do need to revise and more than just what's on the survey. So I don't know if we're approving something specific here, but
You don't need to. I mean, if there was more, then that's definitely something that I can look into. You have these responses about those. If you are absolutely looking into revising, Michael did provide a proposal as well. Did you want to approve his proposal tonight? And we can move forward with, Michael can move forward with the changes.
Review the other things.
He would definitely be in touch with you guys to make sure he has a full idea of what you want changed, what you want it to say, that you review the draft. But this is his proposal to revise the documents. There is a disclosure in there that we always recommend that the board also put the documents in front of an attorney. So we would do the revision, we put it in front of the attorney, make sure that there's no conflict with state statutes, that it's industry best standards, and they don't have any kind of revisions that they would recommend. So that would be an additional cost. Yes, Marcus.
Are you suggesting that we take the survey result and that's what we're doing with the amendments for the rules and regulations, or is that what we're talking about?
Aside from the survey, or I guess in addition to the survey, whatever revisions that you guys have talked about in the past, I'm not sure, I'm not caught up to what you've talked about with Michael in the past. But obviously these 3 things, and then whatever else that you guys have. If you know you want to change the rules and regs, you can either have Michael draft it, or maybe, I don't know if one of you wants to draft it, and then put it in front of the attorney is the other option that we recommend. So it would be 2 costs to do that.
I'd like to have a list of what we're talking about. I'd like to know exactly what we're going to change, what we're going to approve, have discussions with the board. Are we going to allow the string lights? Just because it's been, suggested one way doesn't mean the board has to approve and change the CCNR or the rule regulations. So I'd like to see a list of what we want to talk about before we go down the cost. Am I acting out of turn or speaking out of turn here?
yeah, it does look like based off of the quote, that third bullet says amend, remove, add sections per board direction. I mean, subject to the CC&Rs in Arizona law. So I'm assuming, what's the additional cost that you said was there, other than there's of course the attorneys that are going to review it, but is there an additional cost to like to making revisions and whatnot around this initial effort?
Michael's got it in here. The additional revisions there would be 1 revision. Any additional revisions would be $100 per occurrence.
Okay.
But in getting an idea of what you guys want, obviously you're going to go back and forth communicating with Michael to figure out what revisions you want. And Michael would be the one to, get that started with you guys. If you know that you want to change the documents, I'm just throwing this out here as, I mean, if you're going to do it, then here's the proposal to get things started.
I think I mean, ultimately, guys, if we want to update them, we need Michael to do it. But I think to your point, Marcus and Alex, it starts with we just need a bullet point list of what we want to change and what we want to add, what we want to remove. You know, for me, there's conflicting information between the rules and regs, the art guidelines, and the CCNRs. They should not contradict one another. Things like that need to get fixed. In addition to some of these changes that looks like the community wants, but I would love to just have a bullet point list that we can discuss as a board at the next meeting.
Right. A sweeping list of everything that we've been discussing versus 1G, 2G, 3G.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe Julia, if the board approves it, Michael could start by sending an email out to the board with, hey, board, give me a bullet point list of things that are, you want to look at changing, adding, or whatever, and then he can compile one list to review during a meeting. What do you guys think about that?
Is there things we can add to this list?
Yeah, of course, you can add and remove whatever you want. For Michael, I mean, part of the work of what's included in this proposal would be to do the research. I mean, I think looking at all of the documents and doing the research as of like what's contradictory, that's probably going to be included in his proposal. So he might not do that until it's approved. But to definitely, I mean, I don't know what you guys have discussed about rules and regs changes in the past. So let me get with Michael. We'll put together an initial list. You guys can add it. I mean, let's just go back and forth in emails a little bit, trying to put this list together. We will definitely talk about it at the next meeting, but we'll add this as an action item, get it started. And when you're ready to, or when Michael feels, he can't do any more work until the proposal's approved, then that's when we can look at the proposal again. Is that cool? Okay. Bill,
Yep.
did you have a question?
Yes, a follow-up is that with the lights, they're on timers. So not to be left on 24/7 or during the nighttime, dusk to dawn. Mine are set at 4 hours. And it's just if you wanted to, is basically putting that so it's not a burden of shining in someone else's window morning, noon, and night, is having some type of timer put on that so it's an automatic shut off and on type of thing. The other follow-up is to the storing vehicles in the backyard on property. Being on the board back in '97, as part of that, we did agree that the association can have vehicles parked in the back as long as it was below the fence line, not viewable above it. And if it was any vehicle or recreational vehicle, that there had to be a cement pad, because due to state, city, local ordinance, you cannot park any operable vehicle or any vehicle on a dirt or stone where any fluids can seep out into the ground. So that was passed back in '97 from the HOA board. So I'm assuming that what you're saying, that north of Warner was approved. I don't understand why, if the fence levels are all the same height, why people on the north side are able to do it and then south, other than that there's bigger lots. But there are some lots down here south of Warner that do have the room that they can put in a double wide gate and store a vehicle. But we just wanted to make sure that we did not have an obese RV parked blocking a neighbor's view of sunlight or whichever. We made that it had to be below the fence line. Anything above the fence line needed to have an architectural approval before it could be constructed.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. Katie, did you had your hand up? Katie. Katie's not muted, but her hand's up. Katie, just go ahead and let us know when you're ready to speak. I'm going to lower your hand, but you can speak whenever you're ready. All right. We ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna mute this person. Okay. Let's see. All right. So we have the basketball hoop key we've already talked about. I'm gonna ask a locksmith.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Hi,
Oh,
Katie.
okay. Hi. I just wanted to give my input about the covered vehicles in the driveway. I just think that opens up there. It's like too much of a gray area. Like who is going to like monitor or enforce if the cars are running in running condition? That just worries me like a lot. Um, and who's going to enforce like what's under those covers? It opens up like room for rodents, rats, any kind of something to live under there. It just I just wanted to give that input, I guess.
Thank you, Katie. Appreciate it. All right. That is all for our agenda, but I do have a few items after the fact that I just wanted to bring up. Cody, you had emailed me about compliance of view fences and walls in backyards. I did respond to the board about possibly using the 4th week of the month to do that compliance instead of doing a fourth, continuing the rotation of compliance. We would do obviously the first 3 weeks would be the first 3 weeks of rotation, and then the 4th week would be walking additional property lines that I don't see it from the car. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
So I'll chime in on that. So for those who are on the board, what I asked Julie about was, obviously walls that's the hot topic, right? Walls between homeowner and HOA, is a lot of those walls. There's some subset she can see while she's doing inspection. There's a big subset she can't. And on those walls, making sure that there aren't trees or bushes, laying on them or going through them, possibly causing damage for one side or both sides, and basically anywhere the HOA is responsible for that wall, whether it's half or all of it. Who knows how that plays out? But that's kind of where this is going. Julia, to your point, I like the once a month thing. I do think though that we should probably send out something to the community first, letting them know, because I'm almost positive previous management never did anything about it, and I don't want people getting caught off guard. If hey, I've always had this bush growing through the fence, wrapped around this fence, or laying on the wall, you shouldn't. Just things like that to kind of ease into it, so people aren't caught off guard. Is my opinion.
I'm glad that you explained that further, because I definitely got the initial impression like, okay, so we're going to start investigating the back of folks' backyards. But it makes sense now. I've seen a lot of bushes, trees that lean over other stuff on these fences, right? And some of these, a lot of them are on communal area based off of the property line separation, right? So it sounds reasonable. I agree.
Yeah, my thought was more for maintenance to keep from damage to the structure.
And the more data we have and knowledge we have of actual, being able to touch it, be able to see it is good for us, because making a judgment from a screen or whatever is not the best interest in anybody. And so if we can be on site and actually see it, that's a good thing.
I'm gonna get my exercise in. Gonna get my walking shoes.
Well, we can get with the golf course, and maybe they can let us borrow a couple of carts, and we can cruise around that way.
That's an idea.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Let me just run it by Michael, make sure that everything is okay with that, and but I don't see any problem with it. No need for a motion on it. Next on the agenda, I have wildflowers. Have you guys talked about wildflowers before?
Yes, if I recall, well, I guess on what context? Like, what's the?
Good
You allow
question.
them?
Oh, do a lot. Okay, so matter of fact, we do have a homeowner that's on the call that has specifically requested this in the past before, and I don't know where we landed on the discussion. I know that we um, talked about it being okay if they were like in a contained, area or something, right? Where do we get on that?
Yeah, that was exactly it. As long as they were in a contained area, they weren't just like spread about, it was okay, right? Because it truly looked, even though it was wild, it still looked maintained. And that's great. We don't want to, we want to support that. But just kind of a wild front yard where a couple flowers are sprinkled in, that didn't pass.
Sure.
So my recommendation, if you did allow them, would be to require that the flowers remain in a confined, defined area, whether that be a border of some sort, whatever, whatever the homeowner wants to do or can put together. Dead flowers are removed promptly, and all flowers, dead or alive, are removed no later than May 1st each year. These are, just from my experience, the best stipulations to put in place with wildflowers. They can get out of hand really quickly. They are cause for violations for a lot of different reasons. And I found that when you put these stipulations in place, it allows for wildflowers, but also, it's a really good middle ground to keep it from getting, like you said, out of control. Can I have a motion to approve that recommendation if you guys are for that?
Motion.
Before we do that, do we want to let any homeowners chime in, Julia? Or
Yeah, please, of course. Does anyone want to talk about wildflowers at all? Questions, comments?
see, Tess has her
Tess?
hand up.
Yep.
Yeah, I thank you for that because for years, many of us have been growing wildflowers, and all of a sudden, the past couple of years, with focus, they were weeds, and we were tormented for years about that. And I am all for it. They're zero scape. They require no water. They bring color to our yard. And as far as I'm concerned, as long as they're landscaped, they're pulled up when they reseed, when they die, which is before May, they should be fine. And I thank you for that.
Thank you, Tess.
Thanks, Tess.
I have Alex as a motion. Does anyone want a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. Okay, so for the solar lighting for the 3 parks, I want to get further direction on what to ask for. Obviously, we don't have a plug there, so it's got to be solar lighting. So I reached out to Solar King. They are the main contractor. I can see once we get kind of a scope of work put together if anybody else will be able to do the work so I can get multiple proposals. Hopefully we do have multiple proposals so we can get a base point for cost, but starting with Solar King to get the scope of work. In the North Park, we have, I just want to kind of pull it up probably and look at the parks as we go. My computer's all kinds of off since we did the updates today. I'm sorry. Okay, so at Pinto Park, we have obviously the shade structure and 1 Ramada We have a street light right here on this side of the street, which is pretty far from the Ramada. So I was thinking of possibly solar lights under the Ramada. If that's something, I'm not sure where else you would put them. Does the board or any homeowners have any kind of ideas of what lighting they'd like to see in the area?
So just to make sure where I mentioned this, obviously, we've talked about lighting in the past. Are we looking for just kind of low security lighting to kind of make it hard to hide from doing stuff you shouldn't be doing? Or is this a little bit brighter if people want to kind of hang out at the park after it's gotten dark? What's our goal with this? Or is it both?
I would think maybe we get a bid for both types of lighting, right? And just see what it's going to cost to have just like you said, two different types. I know people want to have light at the parks at night, especially in the summertime. So if the cost permits, I don't see why that's something we don't look into, you know?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. That makes sense.
There are definitely different types of lighting. So we've got these the lights. So the solar is powering it obviously with this pole right here, but the lights are in the shade structure.
Hmm.
And then we have under the Ramada lighting. Obviously, that is what it looks like at night. I really like that just for safety reasons, just because when I was a teenager, we hung out at the park, at the tables, you know, so, but also if, you know, they're playing on the playground at all, or if there's any vandalism done to the playground, I don't know about your past, but if there has been, I would say wherever your vandalism is usually is where you should put the lights first and just start there, right? You don't need to light up the entire area with and go crazy with it. And then obviously you have these posts that are more like street lights, but they're run off of solar as well. So 3 different options as far as lighting goes. I think it really depends on the area. Maybe for this park, maybe installing 2 of these poles. It's really hard to say with, sorry, without having, I don't know where my picture went, or my map, sorry.
I almost wonder if we could.
Our team kind of determine what highest and best use and where they think their pole should go, right? Let them kind of determine based on our needs. Let them determine that because we're not lighting experts, right? We don't know, so let them do that.
Okay.
I do like the idea
I
of
just
getting,
need to give them a little bit more specific direction is all.
like if we can get a quote for both under the Ramada and the playground coverings, and then just, I guess, get a quote for security and for brighter lighting. I certainly don't want it to be super disruptive given how tall the structure is to the neighbors adjacent to it. And I know that we might have a limit on lumens anyway, because my understanding is that this is a natural flight path for birds apparently, and there's some riparian restrictions due to that. So just get them to give us some feedback on that would be good.
I will let them know that. I don't know if that's something they look at, so I'll let them know. Looking at, I agree too. I think it's too close to houses to be putting up the posts.
Yeah, one thing
Julia,
I'd like
but
to.
oh,
Okay.
sorry. Oh, Julia, I was just gonna say I agree with your point about under the Ramada because I take that road constantly since I live on Roanoke. And yeah, they're constantly teenagers there. And then they just did graffiti on that restroom. I mean, obviously that golf course is not part of our HOA, but there are definitely always teenagers there at night and you can't really see them. So
Perfect. Thank you.
Julia, if you
For
could ask them on both the shade sails and the Ramadas, if they have an option where they could mount to the existing poles, they're already there. So that should, in theory, bring costs down. I don't know if it's possible, but since we just spent the money to redo the shade sail poles and concrete barriers, they should be nice and sturdy. and then the lights would also be underneath, so that should help keep the lighting from glaring out too much.
Okay, I will ask. Statler Park and Statler Park, I believe. Yeah, we have a Ramada and a shade sail. You want to see the same thing here? I would say probably no poles in this area either. The homes are even closer on this. Okay. And then Penrose Park. I don't think, yeah, there's no Ramada here, just the shade sails. Did you want to see posts maybe around the basketball courts?
Facing away as much as possible from the homes that are most adjacent to it, I think would be, or at least not pointing in the direction to minimize light pollution to their backyards. I don't know
I
how far
wonder
that
if
fits,
there's,
really.
say again?
I'm not sure if I'm trying to recall if the basketball court sits very much lower than the grade of the homes, like where they're at. So
If you put them on the east side of the court, it won't face a house. It'll face the whole entire parking lot.
Grass.
Yeah.
Right. And we can have it, face down a little bit. I'm sure they have plenty of experience. What is it called? I can't remember what it's called, but they put a thing on the light that directs the light so that it doesn't shine
some
in
sort of
specific
cover, yeah,
areas. Yeah.
yeah.
But I don't know if do you guys have rules about lights out times? Because if so, do we want to light up the basketball court at night?
No, we've discussed this before. Just don't
I think if
recall.
you stick to the sound variant, or the sound rules, isn't it like 11 o'clock at night or something like that?
Maybe.
I'd say get
Does
the
anybody live
and
in
then
this
we
area that can speak to anyone hanging out at night?
Yeah, I'm right up in the same. My backyard leads out onto that. The issue was one of the things about how long the lights. It was brought up about a possibility of put in a timer so that when it does hit dusk, whoever's playing basketball goes over and hits the timer, and it's set for a certain time. I'll say 10 minutes, and it shuts off, and then you have to run over and turn it back on again. But at a set time of 10 p.m. for curfew, it automatically shuts off and you can hit that button as many times, the lights will not turn on. But the other homeowners in here were concerned about the noise that during that nighttime, that the sound of the basketball hitting the court reverberates around the whole park. That was one of the key concerns about it.
Okay, thank you. Tess?
Yeah, and actually, I agree with Bill. We don't need a basketball game at 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, and I know that's when it's coolest in the summer and kids like to get out, but I think there should be a time. And curfew is, what is it, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock? That would be perfect. They can still have the cool of the evening, but yet we don't have to listen to the basketball game into the wee hours of the morning.
So yes on the lights, but it's the lights being set on timers is the key thing if we're going to do it.
to that point, Julie, and I don't know if this is possible or if it's getting too complicated. Is it possible on all the lights we're looking at, part Ramadas, play structures, to have like a 2-stage timer where they come on at dusk, brighter, and then at 9 or 10 they dim down, so it's not enough to hang out and play, but it's enough to provide security, so you can't sit there in the dark. I don't know if that's a thing or not.
Excellent idea.
Got it. I will ask. As far as this part goes, I think maybe one pole in this area pointing out towards the grass, and then did you want to look at underneath the shade sail as well?
Might as well if we're
I
going to do
think
these.
so.
Just get line items.
On the basketball court, if we're going to do it, we should ask them, I would venture to guess one pole in the middle is probably not enough to provide, without it being blaringly bright, to light up the court for kids to use. So it would either be one would be either just security, or it'd be so bright it would probably shine into yards. So just ask their recommendation on it. It would need to be one or two to do it right without it glaring into people's yards.
Another addition is that you can mount the lighted poles in the center, like on the 50-yard line. In addition, you can have those poles with holes so that those who want to play volleyball as well can string their own net and put it across the 50-yard line marker at half court.
It's not a bad idea.
So it's not only just for basketball, you can have other games there while the lights are on. Have your own roller rink ice hockey net set up that they can buy themselves if they want to utilize it for other than basketball.
I like that idea, but if we put a pole on the west side, it will shine into houses.
No matter what you do, north side, south side, the only one is if it's facing west, that's the only light you're going to be able to, there's no houses there other than way off on the other end of the park off of, I forgot that, Camellia, the two houses there. So no matter what, it is surrounded by houses. It's just that where do you want to put them at the best advantage you can?
All right, let me talk to the guy. I'll
And
get some recommendations and we'll talk about it some more. I think that's all for that item. As far as setting up the meeting with the golf course, are we interested in doing that during business hours or in the
What is the
evenings?
topic of the meeting? Is it
Well,
to have them share with the owners, or is this something with working with the board on projects?
it would be both. It would be the board talking with the golf course. I mean, in my mind, this is what I had. The board talking with the golf course, discussing, what their concerns are, what our concerns are, and how to move forward working together. Likely put together an agenda, and then homeowners again can be on just like this, raise their hand to speak. They would be able to ask questions, get answers, voice concerns, that kind of thing.
I kind of see it as two meetings, and where that's coming from is when we met with the new owners a few months back, whenever it was, we talked about doing a town hall where they got on and really just shared with the community on what their plans and vision were for the golf course. What they shared with us was we all left with smiles, just wowed with what the plans were. I personally would like to have them do that, let the community know what their intentions are, and then we maybe do a second, more a formal meeting with the board and whatnot. This way, people, because otherwise it's just going to get consumed with, well, what are your plans and whatnot. We won't actually get to the intricate details because there's a lot of crossover between the two areas. And what I took from the meeting we had with them was, like a lot of people, they don't quite understand the HOA cannot spend money on someone else's property. There's things we're held to and whatnot. So that's a more detailed conversation that needs to happen second. So to his point, the more people that know about it and get excited about it, the more support from the community he's likely going to get as well. So.
Do you want to do kind of a town hall with everybody to discuss plans and vision, and then also have them at a board meeting where the board would be able to address them? I'm just confirming I understand you correctly.
There have been multiple people that have spoken up wanting to have a town hall with him. So I think that would be a good opportunity to give people that chance. Of course, how many people actually show up, I don't know, but I know that there is a lot of interest in that.
Maybe we just start with the town hall, Julia, and see how that goes. And then I think we should schedule another meeting with the board. That can be during the day if that's when they're available for that. I want to be flexible to their schedule, but a town hall needs to be 6 o'clock. So homeowners are off work and can be available to as many people as possible. And what Michael had suggested at the time was maybe we do a dual town hall with us and Finley Farms and all the surrounding communities, as many that I know you guys manage others, to get everyone in on once, because the golf course obviously impacts us a lot because we're intertwined, but it impacts Finley Farms as well. Or maybe we don't, I don't know.
See why it would be a bad idea. I mean, if it's a town hall.
So as far as just yeah, I've got the town hall thing down. I'll talk to Michael about pushing that forward. But as far as the board meeting, is this something that, I mean, if we hold a special meeting during the day, it would need to be an open meeting, not an executive. So we couldn't have, basically, if we just want to have a meeting with the golf course like you guys did with Michael, we just couldn't meet quorum. So we can hold a meeting in that manner where we can just kind of get with them, have one of you guys or two of you guys go and represent the board and just kind of have a list of questions you'd like answered, concerns, that kind of thing. Is that what we're looking at? Go. Okay. Alex is giving me a thumbs up, so I'm going with it.
Please.
I think the sooner we get the community involved with the golf course owner, the better. So I want to fast track that. I think it's been January, December. We're all kind of itching to hear his thoughts, hear his vision. I'm down for both, but I think the homeowner section, the ones where they get to ask questions to him, is the most important right now.
Yep.
Understood. And they are excited. So they're just waiting on us to put something together. Does anyone want to throw out a schedule so I can get back to them? I mean, it obviously needs to be in the evening. I can look at my schedule. Right? I would love to just get this, figured out right now so that we can set a date so I can get back to them right away, and not push it off any longer. Obviously, we're looking at May. I'm pretty open as far as my meetings go. Tuesdays and Thursdays are pretty much full, so Monday or Wednesday would be best for me in the evenings.
Could we push for like 30 days out? So like the last week of May? Just to give
Yes.
people time to plan and whatnot.
Yeah, I like that idea, Alex. Julie, if you could also ask them if they'd be okay with us recording the town hall, then we can send an email blast out. Hey, if you weren't able to hit the town hall, here you go.
That's a great idea. Okay, is everyone good with the 25th?
Yes.
You're talking 25th of May?
Yes, ma'am.
That's Memorial Weekend.
Oh.
That's
why it's open.
Yes.
Let's see
I
what
don't
else
think
I've
we'll get a
got.
lot of people out.
All right. How about the first week in June then? Just push it out one more week. Or
June
Are
1st.
you
Can we push
talking
it? Oh
Monday
no.
the 1st?
I can do the 11th. Oh wait, no, sorry. I can do the 10th.
Yes, that's fine. I'll be out of town.
That seems far out.
That does seem
what
far
about,
out.
what about the 27th of May? That's after Memorial Weekend.
Let's see.
27th of May?
That's the night before our board meeting. Actually, that could be good.
Can we push it forward? Can we do the 20th of May?
What time? In the evening?
Yep.
you're going to have a lot of conflict with school activities.
Shoot, yeah, it's the last day of school.
Thursday's the last day of our school. But you might even have graduations then.
Let's see. Well, shoot. The 11th. Is the 11th too soon?
Of
No.
May?
Yeah, May 11th,
What time?
6th.
You leave our meeting. I have a meeting at 4. Hopefully I would be through by then. But I don't have to be there.
Well, Julie, I assume we have to also check in the golf course and their availability here too, right? We can't. We don't know.
They just asked. Yeah, they asked me to give them some dates. So, well, a date. But if we can agree on a date, then we can throw that out there to them and see what they say.
Mm-hmm. I'm good with the 11th. I think that that's 3 weeks out, you know?
Yeah, Julie, I would say if they're good with it, if they can just find out ASAP and get that out like in the community as fast as possible, that'd be awesome.
You said notify the community as fast as possible?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, you were breaking up a little.
It's okay. I don't know if I'm asking too much with this, but if it'd be possible on the town hall to get like a brief agenda from the golf course on what they want to talk about and have that go out in the notice, that would be ideal. I just don't know if they'll be able to react fast enough, but I'm just being picky.
Well, I mean, if we're the ones calling the meeting, are we expecting them to have an agenda?
Maybe just ask them if there's anything that they would like to touch on, but I think that they're expecting we're going to be the ones coming with the questions and they'll be coming with the answers.
That's fair.
Yeah, he'll come in with a high overview of what he wants, what he sees in his vision, and then we can ask questions about it. I'm sure he has something prepared for 5 to 10 minutes. You know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's got all the stuff that they presented when they did the that community, that open meeting that they had like a month ago, and with all of those illustrations and plans and whatnot.
Julia, should we see if we want to have Gary from GNL attend that as well, just because some of that will probably dovetail into what he does, just so he can hear it? What do you guys think?
It's not a bad idea.
Okay, last thing I have for you guys is I received an email from I don't even know who it's from. It's in regards to a public meeting for Crossroad Park improvements. I just received this, so I honestly haven't even really looked at it at 4 o'clock, so after I left work. Gilbert's undertaking a comprehensive improvement at Crossroads Park, west of Greenfield Lakes. Improvements will include replacing the aging irrigation system, improving the existing lake, and installing aquifer storage and recovery wells to strengthen the community's long-term resiliency. Construction will begin summer of 2026. Postcards will be mailed to the community members nearest the park. I was thinking we maybe want to send this out to homeowners. I don't know if you guys want to go to the meeting. It's not something that I would attend, but I don't know if you guys are interested. I can forward it to the board and possibly mail out this little screenshot that they have that they're also sending out as postcards to homeowners. It's just a public hearing, honestly.
I think
I
that's a great idea.
don't know how big of a deal it is, but
I think you sent it to the board initially, Julia, so we can see it, but I don't think it has any effect on us, right? It's Crossroads Park. There's a little lake over there that I don't think they're talking about our lakes. So
no, not our lakes.
Yeah. Not a bad idea for us to look at it, and I think after maybe a little bit of discussion, we might push it out. But if it doesn't directly affect Greenfield Lakes, I don't want to get people confused.
Got it.
Point.
Okay. And I mean, if they're sending out postcards anyways, homeowners are getting the information. Just honestly received it at the last minute and thought I'd throw it in. Tess, you have a question?
Actually, it may be of interest to the homeowners because I'm wondering if that's the same area where the Barclay Center is supposed to be built on the corner there of Greenfield and Knox. So it may very well be of interest to the homeowners. But that's interesting to know. Thank you for that information.
You're welcome. You guys should be receiving postcards as well in the mail, so you should get more information on it. But all right, I will send that out to the board. That is all from me. Board, did you guys have anything else?
I have one
Oh,
thing. Go ahead.
I have one more thing. Sorry.
Yep.
The signs that are in the sand, I am getting this taken care of. I don't know why there's so much confusion and frustration with it, but there is, and I'm going to get it taken care of. So I just want to confirm with you guys, I've instructed the actually I can pull up the email, but I've instructed the playground company of exactly where I want them put. I want to make sure with the board that you guys are okay with the locations. And they said they can do it free of charge the next time they're out. Give me 1 second. Okay. So this is Pinto Park. This is the one that I asked them to, asked them to put it in the middle, as you can see. Are we good with that?
Yep.
I also asked them to take, I don't know if you can see it in the back there, there's another sign that's like a no trespassing sign for the golf course. I also asked them to do that one and put it up on the post. You
How
good with
high
that?
is it going to be put, by the way?
At least 6 feet. I want the bottom of the sign to be 6 feet.
Perfect.
And I also asked them to let me
Yes, I
know
had
when
on
they're
that.
there so I can confirm with them. Sorry, Cody?
Yeah, it's just to make sure it's high enough no one hits their head on it as they're walking by.
Let's see, next one. This is, oh, that's the back one. This is Stotler Park. The sign is actually missing, and I've asked them to put it on this one because it is closest to the south entrance to the park. We good with that?
Yep, I like that. Just to ask the really dumb question, and I'm asking this because of the challenges we've had getting them to understand the request here. They're going to remove this, they're going to move the signs and take the poles out of the ground, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I saw your email. I was smacking myself in the head like this shouldn't be this difficult. So
It really shouldn't.
yeah.
Yeah, this took me like an hour to like gather all this information and take like I made a special trip to get these like it was a whole thing. I don't even want to talk about it. Um, then this one is Penrose Park. They said that they installed it on the back of the park. I don't know why they would have done that, but this is where I'm recommending putting it next to like this is the closest when you're walking into the park. We good with that?
Good.
Okay. Cool. Then that is all for that. You guys don't need to think about signs in the sand anymore, ever again, because it's gonna get taken care of. All right, cool. Are we done?
I have one question just to follow up for you or Michael. Newsletters. Supposed to be getting them quarterly. We've had one to date. We're a little behind. Can we follow on what's and this is before you took over. I'm not knocking you. You're amazing. Just want to follow up on that and make sure we get on that because that was a big thing that the homeowners really wanted, and I think we'd really like to make sure we get back to on our side.
I will tell you, Michael puts these together. They're entirely Michael on his plate. And I will tell you, don't take it personally because he is very, very, very bad about staying on top of newsletters. So I will let him know how important they are to you guys. I will definitely impress that on him and make sure that he gets on it and gets them scheduled so that he doesn't miss them anymore. But I'll let him know how you guys feel about it for sure.
Julia, is there certain software that you guys use, or is it something that one of us can take over, or what does that look like?
I think he uses, is it PowerPoint? It's one of the Microsoft, I think it's PowerPoint. It's
Or
one of
is
the
it
Microsoft programs.
like something that one of us can send him stuff we want to see in it, and that'll kind of
Yes.
like push him to get it out, or like what do you recommend we do?
Yeah, you can absolutely send him information that you want included. Otherwise, he's just going to make it up. On his own, looking at our action items and knowing what he knows about the community and what's going on with it. And obviously, I think that will, the more it's like the squeaky wheel, right? The more he hears from you guys about what you want included in the newsletter, the less he can ignore it or push it on a back burner.
So why don't we do this every second or third meeting before the quarter ends? We add that as an agenda item, so the board can say, "Here's the topics we want added," and then boom, there you go. What do you guys think about that? Just make it a recurring thing.
Yeah, I'm good.
Sounds good to me.
You guys don't want to just handle it via email? We have a lot to talk about in meetings.
Very fair point. Whatever you guys think.
Why don't I send out an email the last quarter, the week before, maybe 2 weeks before the last, whenever it's scheduled to go out. I don't know. I'll figure out timing. But I'll send out an email asking for ideas of what to put or direction on what to put in the newsletters, and you guys can just reply with your ideas. I'll forward that over to Michael and make sure it gets out.
Yeah, that sounds good.
If it's going out to homeowners, I don't think that it necessarily needs to be talked about in a meeting if we can avoid a little bit of extra time.
Yep, I'm good with that.
Okay. All right, perfect. Anyone else have anything? Any homeowners have any last minute items? Questions, comments, concerns? Fantastic. We'll adjourn at 8:01.
Thanks, everybody. Julia, do we have to touch on any more of the executive stuff, or are we good?
Yes, we do need to. Please stay board. We're not done. You're not done.
Homeowners, thank you for joining tonight.
Thank you guys so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.